Rita, thank you. Good evening and welcome to BBC London. Coming up on the programme, a police officer has described the moment he was shot with a crossbow as his attacker is sentenced to 9 years in jail.
He's come out the address and chased me with the crossbow, ran directly at me. So I've run away, essentially. That is my only tactical option.
The officers have been praised for their bravery. Also ahead this evening, arrests by the Met Police for antisocial behaviour and crime are up compared with this time last year. But will it make Londoners feel any safer? We're out on patrol with the force. Plus, putting the brakes on rented e-bikes, why some riders can't cross from one side of the Thames to the other. And
Granny came on a boat, Granny came on her own. Granny came out to England because she thought the pavements were gold.
Bashy's back, the West London actor and rapper on his return to our screens. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laxmi Gopal. A man who shot a police officer with a crossbow has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. Police say it was a miracle no one died in the incident in Buckinghamshire last May. They'd been called to a stabbing near High Wycombe where Jason King had attacked a neighbour. The 54-year-old then shot PC Curtis Foster with a crossbow before being shot by an armed officer as they tried to stop him. They've been commended for their bravery. Anna O'Neill's has the details, and just to warn you, this report contains upsetting content from the start.
My dog's gonna kill you in a minute.
Caught on doorbell footage in May last year, the moment Jason King threatened his neighbour in School Close, High Wycombe, before stabbing him in a dispute about a broken window.
Thames Valley Police, what's your emergency?
He's out the front door, he's got the knife and he says he's coming for me.
Can you see the officers? Are you with the officers now?
Yes, they're here.
Arriving at the scene minutes later, PC Curtis Foster was about to come under attack himself.
He's come out the address and chased me with the crossbow, ran directly at me. So I've run away, essentially. That is my only tactical option. So as I'm running away, he shoots me in the back of the leg, back of the left leg. I feel the impact, but carry on running. And as we're doing that, we're clearing members of the public out of the way. All the while he's chasing me, I can hear the mechanism of the crossbow going off again behind me, still trying to take shots at me.
He's out with the road. I think he shot me.
PC Cameron Parker Graham could see what was happening and was trying to clear people out of a nearby park, taking a woman and 2 young children to safety, while also trying to help his colleague, who was still being chased.
And he was closely followed by a police dog that had been sent in order to try and secure and detain the suspect, at which point the gentleman turned around and started to shoot at the dog, and its handler recalled the dog.
5'9", yeah, he tried to shoot the dog.
Police dog Merlin and his handler were unharmed.
Me and Curtis then were like, at this point, we need to keep moving and get out of the area.
Oh, please stay still!
At this point, a firearms team arrived and, still threatening officers with the crossbow, Jason King was shot in the abdomen by this officer, whose identity we've agreed to keep anonymous.
At any point, he could have surrendered. He chose to carry on firing at armed police officers and unarmed police officers, despite us telling him not to. It was his overall decision that led to him getting shot. I made the decision to pull the trigger, but solely to neutralise the threat, so that the wider members of the public and PC Foster, who was unaccounted for at this point, wasn't going to be at further risk.
An investigation into the shooting by the police watchdog praised the courage, professionalism and sound judgment of the officers involved, as did their senior investigating officer.
Really outstanding police work to bring it safely to conclusion without any further injury, or serious injury, and indeed, quite miraculous really that nobody was killed in this incident.
Jason King recovered, and today he was sentenced to 9 years in jail and a further 3 on licence. Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
Let's have a quick look at some of the day's other news now. Detectives have arrested a 26-year-old man on suspicion of murder after the death of a man in Wembley last night. Officers were called to reports of a stabbing in Monks Park just after 6:10. A 38-year-old man died at the scene. A 26-year-old man was arrested in the early hours of this morning, and a 31-year-old woman was also arrested for conspiracy to murder. They both remain in police custody. The Met Police policy on live facial recognition technology is unlawful, according to the Equalities Watchdog, because it's incompatible with human rights laws. The Equality and Human Rights Commission says safeguards fall short and could have a chilling effect on individuals' rights when used at protests. The technology, which scans people's faces in real time, is set to be used by the Met at this year's Notting Hill Carnival. Police in Hertfordshire want to trace the owners of several war medals believed to be stolen that were found in a car. Officers found them in a vehicle abandoned near Watford Bowls Club after a pursuit. As well as the medals, police seized old coins and items of jewellery, including brooches and necklaces. And a lake in southeast London has partially reopened after toxic blue-green algae was found in the water last week. Bexley Council has reopened Danson Lake with limited access for fishing. Dog owners have also been told to keep their pets out of the water. Next tonight, we're looking at the problem of antisocial behaviour and theft in the capital and what's being done about it. The Metropolitan Police say they've made more than 1,300 arrests as part of their crackdown on crime and antisocial behaviour this summer. Increased funding for neighbourhood policing teams has led to more targeted patrols and operations across 20 hotspots in the capital. Our reporter Jessica Ure has been out with the Met to see what's being done.
It's all right, mate. So, vehicles made off an offsite. It smells strongly of cannabis in this car.
It's late at night in southeast London, and the Met have stopped a car with fake number plates.
It's 4 o'clock. Oh, no, are you staying there, mate?
The passengers are known to police, and after questioning, an arrest is made.
Step forward, because I think search around the waistband, OK, mate? He's on court bail for knife point robbery offence. He was breaching one of his conditions, so he's been arrested for that. And we know him previously have been connected to one of the Southwark-based snatching gangs, where he's previously been holding a lot of the stolen property that they've passed off to him. So it would be a good result in terms of this operation.
Tonight is one of many operations seen over the last 6 weeks. It's part of a Home Office initiative prioritising neighbourhood policing.
Yeah, so keep going up.
Yes. One of them's got a ballot marker.
That means more officers in hotspot areas and intelligence-led patrols cracking down on street crime.
You're under arrest for theft. You don't have to say anything.
The Met says it's working, with arrests up by a third, knife crime down 18%, and more shoplifting cases being solved.
We're putting specific operations on most weeks where we're going into stores, plainclothes and uniform, like I say, getting those most prolific offenders and essentially taking them out of the game. Yesterday they've seen a shoplifter. As the shoplifters come out, they've made an arrest there. That suspect's gone off to custody, and whilst in custody we've managed to link them to a number of other offences, so we've charged them with multiple offences. Whilst that suspect was en route to custody, my 2 officers remained in the area, at which point a second suspect, who is known to the team and we've dealt with many times, has then gone into the store and again shoplifted a number of articles. She's been arrested. They will be in court this morning. We are able to essentially build the case file and get to that stage in a couple of hours now. We've got to a stage we're very efficient at it.
Officers have seen more, people see more police officers at the right times in the area, which is an area that they tell us they need us in and want to see us in so that we can reduce crime.
The increased action is set to continue until September. Jessica Ure, BBC London.
Let's get more on this now. Our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup is here. Sonia, it seems good news that they're making arrests in this crackdown, but how much longer can they keep doing that?
Well, you heard Jess say that that's set to continue till September, but what happens after that? Does the Met have the resources to keep those officers on the ground in those neighbourhoods? We know, don't we, that they are facing a £260 million black hole in their budget. They're set to lose 1,700 officers and staff in the next year. They are closing almost half of their front counters. They're axing the Royal Parks Police. They're pulling officers out of schools. And instead, what they say they're doing is prioritising those neighbourhood teams in those key crime hotspots in areas like the West End, boosting their numbers in Brixton, in Ealing, in Finsbury Park. Now, they say that it is showing some early promising signs. But what about the longer term? Because over the last year, the Office for National Statistics says it has seen a fall in homicide, in violence with injury, in residential burglary, but also rises in knife crime and in theft and in shoplifting. So will Londoners feel any safer? And will they feel confident that when they report a crime to the police, they will act on it? Because sadly, we know that that's not always the case, as Tim Muffet has been finding out.
Someone on one of the motorised scooters full-on collided with me head first, knocked me into the canal. I was just flailing and screaming.
Saba was walking along this towpath in North London last month.
And the fact that I drank some of the canal water was not ideal.
A journey she used to make several times a week.
It's a public footpath, like, you know, you see bikes and things coming, but motorised things you don't really expect. I was on the correct side of the pathway as well, so I'm allowed to do that without being nervous that I'm going to get struck.
By chance, the collision was captured by someone on their phone. The footage is very brief, so we've slowed it down.
The scooter came right into you, and what happened then?
It knocked me so fast that sort of everything flew out of, like, what I was wearing, like my bag came off, everything sort of flew off me. And then next thing I know, I was in the canal.
So you go into the water. I mean, do you know what was going on?
It took a couple of seconds to register. It's quite deep as well, sort of, you know, it's not like you can just pull yourself out, or so people had to come in and actually physically grab me. I was just screaming. I think at that point it just shock took over, really.
Now, the person didn't stop. They didn't check to see if you're okay. They just went straight off.
They fled. My phone is gone. I don't know whether it went in the canal, whether it was taken. I've had to be in hospital 3 times since it's happened. You know, x-rays, I had to have ultrasounds. I've got scars that I think will be there now for the rest of the time. But, you know, I'm lucky that nothing was broken.
You got in contact with the police that night. What happened then?
So around 10 o'clock at night, I contacted the police. Next morning, by 8 a.m, I'd had an email response. Basically just effectively saying that there was nothing that they could do despite the video, despite sort of the witnesses that I put forward.
So just a few hours after you submitted the information, a rejection effectively saying there's not much we can do to help.
Yeah, it was so quick. I was just completely shocked, really. I genuinely thought that there would be some sort of follow-up. I thought at least a phone call, you know, asking for a bit more information. But it was so quickly dismissed. It was almost as if we've had a billion of these cases, we're never going to find them, that's it.
In a statement, the Metropolitan Police said that officers reviewed the details provided and inquiries were made. However, there was not enough sufficient evidence to progress the investigation further at this stage. It asked for anyone with more information to get in touch.
If the person who was riding that scooter happens to be watching this now, what would you say to them?
You need to be careful, you need to be alert, and if you hit someone, you need to stop, you need to make sure everything's okay. You could have killed someone. You need to be aware it's not your right of way.
Towpaths in England and Wales are managed by the Canal and River Trust. It says pedestrians have priority and that e-scooters, motorbikes and modified electric bikes are all banned.
I think people are so aware that they will not get into any trouble if they do things like this. I sort of realise now why these accidents happen so much is because, and why that person went off, because they don't care. They knew that there would be nothing really to stop them or deter them.
Tim Muffet, BBC News.
And thanks to Saba and her mum for getting in touch with us about that. I'll tell you how to do the same in a moment, so get your phone ready. But just to say, you can find out much more on that story on the BBC London website. And if there's a story you think we should be looking at, then just let us know by messaging us on WhatsApp or emailing us at hellobbclondon@bbc.co.uk. Still a lot more to come on the programme, including a first for rail travel. Find out how this battery-powered train made a record-breaking journey. But now, the comedian Dara O'Brien on social media this week compared crossing between Hounslow and Richmond to crossing through the Berlin Wall in the Cold War. Confused? Well, it's to do with these Dockless e-bikes. You see, different London councils have licensed different bike hire companies, and that can mean the bike's motor cuts out if a rider tries to enter another borough. It's led to bikes having to be ditched. To make sense of this, let's cross now to Alice Bandakravi, who's by the river in Kew. Alice, explain all.
I will, Luxmi. We're by Kew Bridge. We're to the south of Kew Bridge here in Richmond. To the north of Kew Bridge is Hounslow. And as you say, both those boroughs use different e-bike companies. And as of the 11th of August, Hounslow is no longer working with Lime bikes. Now, the problem happens when users of, let's say, a Lime bike try and cross one of the several bridges from Richmond into Hounslow. They tend to cut out. Now, to see this for ourselves, we sent our producer Gopal to cross Chiswick Bridge just along the river, and he filmed himself as his Lime bike cut out.
Yep, the Lime bike is no longer running on electric, so I'm going to park up now. So I've just driven out of the Lime bike zone, which is why it's no longer working.
Now, because the bikes are cutting out, those places, the borders between different boroughs, become places where people ditch their bikes. They park them, they become massive bike parks. You can see to the south of the river a whole row of Lime bikes, and on the other side you can see the red Voi bikes which operate in Hounslow. And we know that hire bikes parked on pavements are a problem all over London. And the London Cycling Campaign says it's giving hire bike schemes a bad reputation. Now, they want as many people as possible to travel on two wheels. And they say we need consistent pan-London rules to help people use them.
It needs collaboration between the councils and the mayor and TfL, and all to get together and say, this is a good thing for London, let's make common rules so that everyone understands it, let's have common processes, common infrastructure, parking bays, really make sure that we don't have some of these problems where things just puts people off and makes everyone a bit annoyed when it's no need to.
Now, as we've been on air, we've been seeing people facing this dilemma here on Kew Bridge. It's been happening across several bridges in this part of London. Richmond Council says that Hounslow's recent decision seems to have underestimated the impact on riders. And Hounslow Council has told us that we recognise that a borough-by-borough approach can be confusing for users, and we continue to work closely with Transport for London and neighbouring boroughs to make the case to the Department for Transport for a pan-London approach. But I think until that pan-London approach that lots of different people are calling for, until that happens, I think it's safe to say that you can continue to see these places between boroughs where various different types of bikes are just left in the street.
Alice, thank you for talking us through that. Well, sticking with transport, a bit of railway history was made last night through a feat that could point the way towards its future. A former London Underground train, converted to run on an electric battery, travelled 200 miles through the Thames Valley on a single charge, breaking the previous record. And the operator, GWR, says it's proof that battery-powered trains could replace old diesel stock on local branch lines. But while it might be possible, is it realistic? Here's Joe Campbell.
4 a.m. near Maidenhead, and this train had just entered the record books. And it wasn't done yet. By the time it arrived back home in Reading, the old record had been beaten by 60 miles. The excitement still obvious with the man at the controls.
Can't express, can't put everything in words now, but feel amazing. I know there were techs on the train who were monitoring everything throughout, so there was no doubt I trusted the guys in what they were doing. We did have a few practice runs beforehand, but it was all about it, so I had pure faith that we could manage to do it, and we've done it. That's a great achievement.
The train had set off from Reading just after midnight, the timing ensuring they didn't get in the way of other services on this busy line. With a typical journey from Paddington to Oxford taking just under an hour, the approximately 2 hours that this service took was hardly an express one. But there again, on the route between Reading and central London, well, it was just a little bit slower than the Elizabeth line trains. So while not high speed, neither was its slow speed rail.
We pulled out all the stops in terms of efficiency, but that meant we got back here to the depot with one of the 6 batteries untouched. It's still fully charged, 98%. It's fully charged. It's good to go. So we've got a lot left in the tank. What, 22% left in the tank? So I'd say we can do another 50 miles on top of the 200 we've already done.
So much to celebrate, but for how long?
Although we've set a mark today of just over 200 miles, in reality we would expect that to be broken. Hopefully, we'd hope for it to be broken really in the not too distant future.
After the long night on board, time now to recharge for both the train and those on board. Joe Campbell, BBC London.
Now to a West London artist who's had a bit of a comeback. After being away from the music scene for a decade and a half, Ashley Thomas, aka Bashy, has made a return with his Mobo-nominated album. The rapper turned actor is also on our screens this week in a new TV series. Wendy Harrell caught up with him in the BBC London lounge.
Why didn't you reply?
Just because we agreed.
What's changed?
In Flight is the TV drama Ashley Thomas can currently be seen in.
So that's Channel 4 and also over on Netflix.
Oh,
You're
man.
about to star in
Hostage.
Prime Minister, your husband has been abducted.
And under his music name Bashy, he's concurrently had a very successful comeback to the rap scene.
Granny came on a boat, Granny came on her own. Granny came out to England because she thought the pavements were gold.
With his independently released record, Being Poor is Expensive, this year's Mobo Album of the Year.
Going back to music after 15 years, what was the calling?
I really wanted to talk about my community and talk about the trials and tribulations that a lot of people face, the overcoming those situations and circumstances that people are doing every day, and just like where we came from.
Once a bus driver, then a postie, his work ethic continues in the arts.
I come from humble beginnings, so I realised that I'm blessed, and so I remember that younger version of me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, who had this dream and put in a lot of work to get here. So yeah, I just work hard, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Where do we come from? North Wheezy. At the time, growing up wasn't easy.
I grew up in the London Borough of Brent and Westminster, and I think there are loads of young people that look like me or from a working class background that if they're given the opportunity, they will be able to do something similar, if not more. They need the chance. So those kind of things need to be put in place, like youth clubs and grassroots music venues, and people who are willing to take a chance on people from our background.
Whether storytelling through sounds or screen, Bashy, Ashley Thomas, imparts a positive message from deep in his roots.
It's not the end just because you grew up in the ends. Like you can cut through, and good things can happen for you. So yeah, I'm close. I'll always be close to my community. It's where I'm from. Where am I going? Like, you know, where am I gonna run to? You get me? It's an honor to be able to go back to my community and connect with people, and I realised the privilege that I have. Yeah, there's a lot of privilege there.
Wendy Harrell, BBC London.
music of a different kind now. You might remember a couple of days ago we were joined by Piers Burnell, the UK entry to the World Air Guitar Championships this week. Well, on that subject, it's now believed that air guitar was invented here in London rather than at Woodstock in 1969, as previously thought. It's after this newly unearthed video shows an air guitar performance from a year earlier in 1968 by a band called Rupert's People on Hampstead Heath, and that video will be screened in Finland at those World Championships where Piers Burnell will be, and fingers crossed for him. Oh, it's a shame you can't hear what they were air guitaring to. Maybe, Sarah Keith Lucas, Bring Me Sunshine? Don't know how air guitar-y that is, though.
Perfect, Luxmy. Yeah, we did have some sunshine eventually today. Yes, good evening. It was a bit of a cloudy, drizzly start, but we did see those blue skies breaking through later on in the afternoon. This was the picture in Hendon a little bit earlier on. And I think tomorrow is going to be pretty similar to what we've had over the past couple of days. In fact, the dry weather continues for really the next week or so, but certainly the next few days are looking generally dry with spells of sunshine, but there'll also be some areas of cloud drifting around. And that's going to be the picture through the rest of this evening and overnight too. Now, the cloud may be thick enough for you can just see a spot of blue, just the odd little bit of drizzle, perhaps around the Thames estuary, close to the North Downs, for instance, up towards the Chilterns, you might see a bit of drizzle, but for most of us, it is dry, clear spells, and temperatures still holding up at about 11 to 14 degrees. So still looking at relatively mild conditions overnight. Through the day tomorrow, we're likely to start with quite a bit of cloud, but it will tend to break up probably a bit quicker than it did today. So sunny spells developing, staying dry again. Temperature-wise, well, we're getting up to the low 20s, so we might see 21, 22 degrees perhaps in the middle of town, but it'll feel a bit cooler because we've still got that northeasterly breeze, which will be easing away, though, over the next few days. So heading through Thursday night and into Friday, you can see clearer skies by this stage, so it's going to be a bit of a colder night. In fact, first thing Friday, you might just notice things feel a little bit fresh, down to about 8 degrees around the more rural spots. Now, into Friday, then, we're probably going to see the best of the sunshine earlier in the day. Later on, areas of cloud will drift in from the northwest, so turning a bit cloudier. But as we lose that northerly breeze, it'll also be a little bit warmer too, so up to about 23 degrees by the time you get to Friday. And then the weather really not changing in a hurry. This big area of high pressure is in charge of our weather through the weekend and into next week too. So plenty of dry, settled weather with some sunshine and temperatures a touch warmer than they have been. Luxmy.
And dry for the bank holiday. Sarah, thank you very much. Well, that's it from us for now. I'll be back with your late news update at just after 10:30. Remember, you can get plenty more on the website as well. But for now, from all of us here, have a very good evening. Goodbye.